Interesting that Shovavim is not really a concept or a minhag, I guess I could call it, an idea that I grew up with, or I think that even existed in the yeshiva world back in the day. It's something that has become more the sugya, and I think the reason it became more the sugya is because people understand that the ideas that are discussed by Shovavim are ideas of Shmiras Einayim, etc., and people are struggling, and Bizman Hazeh, the struggle has gotten more difficult just because of the advent of technology and so on and so forth. And we're saying Shovavim. Do most people know that Shovavim stands for Shema Yisrael Eir B'Shalach Yisrael Mishpatim? Is that we're saying? Does anybody know what that has to do? What Shmiras Einayim has to do with Shema Yisrael Eir B'Shalach Yisrael Mishpatim? What? Yitzias Mitzrayim. Okay, Yitzias Mitzrayim. But I think that the point that when people are asking for Torah about Shovavim, what's really going on, I think, is that it's people's expression of their frustration with this challenge. And when people are frustrated with this challenge, they want more, and Shovavim became a way that we can ask for it. Shimon is correct when he says Yitzias Mitzrayim. Yitzias Mitzrayim was a time, and I really want to say this as a way to change our approach to the whole sugya. Yitzias Mitzrayim was a time that a new, more powerful, greater, more impactful Adam emerged onto the world scene, and that was Klal Yisrael. When the world was created, HaKadosh Baruch Hu created an Adam that was unbelievably powerful. He was big, he was great, he was strong, he was holy, unbelievably powerful, and he was the one Hashem created the world for. And then when Adam Arishan did his chait, Adam became incredibly diminished. You know the lashon that Chazal say about Adam Arishan? Chazal used this lashon in the Gemara in Chagiga on the second parak. Heiniach HaKadosh Baruch Hu kapoi olav u'niyatoi. That HaKadosh Baruch Hu put his hand on Adam and made him smaller. He was no longer the Adam for whom the world was created. And that remained so until Yitzias Mitzrayim. Until HaKadosh Baruch Hu took Klal Yisrael out of Mitzrayim, and then that great Adam re-emerged. So it's true, Shimon, that we talk about Shovavim Yitzias Mitzrayim because everyone who's struggling is in Mitzrayim. That's true. But it's more than just that imagery of someone who's struggling with something being in captivity, and if I don't struggle anymore, then I'm out of captivity. Yitzias Mitzrayim is about the emergence of a new, greater Adam. And therefore, based on that, I want to make a suggestion that we're approaching this whole sugya completely wrong. And that we're approaching the sugya of Shmiras Einayim and all of the associated inyanim as weaklings who are afraid of our shadows. We're approaching it in a defensive posture. We're approaching it as if there's something that controls us and we're afraid of it. And we have to change that, because that's not who we are. We have to understand this sugya in a way that could give us menucha, confidence, strength, instead of fear and feel like we're spending our lives playing catch up from this Yetzer Hara. HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave a person a very, 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 very powerful and strong taiva. That's not our weakness, Rabbi say. That's our strength. HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us something incredibly, incredibly powerful because it's something that's related to creation. It's the area of a person's life where he can be most like HaKadosh Baruch Hu and he can create. And Be'ezer Hashem, every person here will use that incredible, incredible nuclear power to be able to create new human beings for HaKadosh Baruch Hu's world, and to be able to bring another dar into this world. That's how powerful we are. We're tremendously powerful people. HaKadosh Baruch Hu created Adam, and we get to create Adam. That power it's just an incredibly powerful thing. And if we want to fight this properly, we can't fight it afraid of our shadow. We have to stand up to our full height, which admittedly for me is not that high, but still, to our full height and to our full strength. And we have to look the Yetzer Hara in the eye, and we have to understand who we are and how great we are and what we have going for us and what we represent. And with that, we can then look down, like the Gemara says that Lasid Lavai, there's this sense of the Yetzer Hara being so diminished. I think that our problem doesn't start with the phone. It doesn't start with the taiva. It doesn't start with the Yetzer Hara. That's not where the problem begins. That's a big step in the problem. I think our problem begins because we don't realize who we are. When a person is feeling their full stature, when a person is feeling strong and big and impactful and holy, and someone who HaKadosh Baruch Hu sent out into this world to make a difference, these things become little things. There's a certain phrase when it comes to the Yetzer Hara. There's a certain phrase. The pasuk says that Putiel, the name Putiel, refers to both Yisroi and Yosef HaTzadik. And the Gemara says the reason why Yosef HaTzadik is called Putiel is Shepitpeit B'Yitzroi. You know what Pitpeit B'Yitzroi means? You know what that means? That means Yosef HaTzadik had a big Yetzer Hara. Pitpeit B'Yitzroi is like to say, like, are you kidding me? Seriously? Me you're trying to get to do that? Do you know who you're talking to? It's like, Rav Leichter Shlita told me that Pitpeit B'Yitzroi is exactly like what it sounds like. It's like, seriously? Me? That's who you're trying to kick around over here? You think I'm going to do that? You think I'm going to descend? I'm going to belittle myself? I'm going to debase myself? Do you know who you're talking to? You know what a great person you're talking to? And that's our problem. If we only knew how powerfully holy we were. If each one of us was able to understand that when we open a Gemara and we say the words of the Gemara, the world is shaking from the words that come out of our mouth. When we take 3 steps forward and we say Hashem Sefasai Tiftach, we're actually standing in front of the Kisei HaKavod. And the King of Kings, who's in charge of everything in the Bria and everything in the universe, stops and he bends over and he listens to the words coming out of our mouths. Seriously? The Yetzer Hara is going to start up with that person? The person that has the ear of the King of Kings? And that's our problem. Our problem is that we're not looking at ourselves that way. We're playing tug-of-war with the Yetzer Hara that's beneath us because we don't realize how great we are. You know, if a mature adult walks into a kindergarten classroom, I was speaking to a therapist yesterday, Rabari, you'll appreciate this. I was speaking to a therapist yesterday, and she was telling me about a couple that the husband is very emotionally immature. And the way she expressed it to me, which was a true thing, she said that he gets into fights with his 4-year-old as if him and his 4-year-old are equals. Isn't that a great mashal for what we're doing? We're getting into a tug-of-war here with this garbage. That's not who we are. And in a sense, I was a little reluctant to say this to you because I was afraid that someone would think like, no, what do you obviously you have no idea how bad the Yetzer Hara is, or you have no idea what a struggle it is. No, trust me. I know very well what a incredible struggle it is. And I even could be margish in myself that the better I feel about myself, the taller and more impactful I feel, the more I feel how special I am, the Yetzer Hara starts to diminish. And the lowlier I feel about myself, and when I'm not feeling good about myself and I'm not recognizing that HaKadosh Baruch Hu put me in this world to accomplish something, the Yetzer Hara starts expanding. HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us this koyach of taiva to be able to marry and to build a home, to be able to create a castle of avodas Hashem, to be able to create a malchus. Each one of you will create a malchus. Well, you'll be the husband and the father in a home. And you'll build with the taiva, you'll build this joy and geschmack and satisfaction. And there'll be this energy in the house. Nobody will know where it's coming from. But there'll be this energy in the house that comes from this taiva used right. And you'll be so grateful to yourself that you stepped up to that. We have something incredibly powerful, something that we can create with, something that we can build with, something that we could transform, not only our own lives, but we can transform someone else's life with. This is the power that we're walking around with, mamish like a nuclear power. And if we could appreciate who we are, we could appreciate, and that Shem is gone. If we appreciate the point of the Yetzias Mitzrayim is, you know what happened by Yetzias Mitzrayim? This great, new, powerful Adam emerged. And that's our tefillah over Shayvavim. That powerful Adam should emerge from us. That we should recognize who we are, what we are, what we could accomplish, how much HaKadosh Baruch Hu loves us, what HaKadosh Baruch Hu has in store for us. And if we could realize that, we should be pitpeit b'yitzrei. Yosef HaTzadik, think about it. Yosef HaTzadik was struck with the Yetzer Hara, a taiva, a rayas, taiva Yetzer Hara, and Eishes Potifar tried very, very, very hard to seduce him, and it was a difficult nisayon for him, Chazal say. But the way that he passed the nisayon was by imagining his father, by seeing his father watching him. Right, that he saw Demus Diuknai Shel Aviv, he saw Yaakov Avinu watching him. What does that mean? What does that mean that he had this vision of Yaakov Avinu? What does that mean? What that means and what that means is that he recognized that he is a key to the continuity of Klal Yisrael. That he's a piece of the puzzle that forms Klal Yisrael. And that's such a great, aristocratic, majestic, noble cause that there's nobody in the world that could have seduced him away from that. Because he had something tremendous, something huge. And that's my bracha and my tefillah and my chizuk, that let's stop being so defensive. Let's go on the offense here. Let's look the Yetzer Hara in the eye and say, I'm bigger than you. I'm stronger than you. I have the ability, we don't say gira be'ena desitna, we don't say, the Gemara says, but we can still address our Yetzer Hara with koyach, with power. And we could say, Yetzer Hara, you don't know who you're starting up with. You're starting up with the son of Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. You're starting up with someone, HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave me a job. You know, we're all, following what's going on in the world, and there's never a dull moment. And so the president has his cabinet picks, and every few days we hear about other cabinet members that were confirmed. And then these people are taking their jobs as the head of major departments in the government. Imagine one of these guys, Marco Rubio becomes the Secretary of State. Imagine he walks down the street and someone comes over to him and says, I'm going to sue you because you park at my parking spot, something like that. Can you imagine him looking like, do you understand what just happened? The President of the United States asked me to become the Secretary of State. I'm one of the most powerful people in the world right now. Are you serious? Are we really doing this? Are you serious? Is there, not even speak to my secretary. Speak to my secretary's secretary. This is not... That's how we face the Yetzer Hara. The Yetzer Hara starts up with that. We say, are you serious? You're starting with HaKadosh Baruch Hu made me the Secretary of State. You know who I am? I'm a person who's going to build a home in Klal Yisrael. Do you know what that means? That means there's going to be a dar of this nation that I'm responsible for. There's going to be a girl that I'm going to find, and I'm going to treat her like a queen, and together with her, I'm going to build a home that will be l'shem u'l'teferes, that the world will look up to. You're starting with me? Speak to my secretary's secretary. or that secretary's secretary. This is not for me. That's how we fight the Yetzer Hara. With dignity, with pride, with godless, with a sense of who we are, and every mitzvah that we do, and every tefillah that we daven, and every word of Torah that we learn makes us into a bigger Baal Gaiva. Yes, I said it. Be a Baal Gaiva. Vayigba liboy b'darkei Hashem. Be a Baal Gaiva. You Bnei Yeshiva, you are the aristocrats of the world. There's nobody more aristocratic. There's nobody more noble, more majestic than the people sitting in this room. Take the role. Hold on to the malchus. Look the Yetzer Hara in the eye and say, I'm sorry, but you pit-pate. Like, this is not my conversation. I have a job to do here to build a generation. I'm going to be building a generation. If you have an issue, speak to my secretary. Yashikayach.